It's going to be Abu Dhabi Festival. So if you didn't go this, I think there's a few days left now. It's an arts and culture festival, which is in Abu Dhabi, but it is orchestra, beautiful classical music, classical dance. Actually, yesterday in the ballet, they did do a dance to Lady Gaga with Bad Romance, which was actually brilliant. Like
How
modern.
Bridgerton.
It was very modern. But it's a celebration of lots of different types of quite classical arts. Hello everyone. Today on Culture Bites, we are going to be talking about the link between Sharjah and Morocco.
And we're going to be talking about how Palestine took centre stage at Coachella.
This is Culture Bites, coming to you every Thursday from the National News. I'm Enas and Farah.
And I'm Farah Andrews.
Hey.
Hi. We're back in our studio. Anyone watching? We've got a little jungle set up.
I know, it feels like a long time ago, Art Dubai already. Everything has happened. But wasn't that amazing?
I had, honestly, well, you and I had such a lovely day down
We
there.
had such a great day.
We were
God.
down there in the galleries.
Bumming into a lot of old friends.
You know how we joke about Enas and SOAS? It turns out the whole of SOAS goes not to SOAS anymore. They go to Art Dubai.
Yes, that's what we do. And this week I've been very busy as well. On Friday and last night, I was at the Abu Dhabi Festival.
You've been very cultural.
I've been very, very cultural. Last night I saw the ballet as part of Abu Dhabi Festival.
You went to the ballet.
I went to the ballet and it was honestly superb. It was the first time I've ever been to a proper ballet. It was tiny little parts of dances performed by different couples, but really, really lovely. And I took some friends that have just moved here and they were like, oh, we didn't know that it was so cultured here.
We can go to the ballet.
Yeah, but I really want to speak about, before I move on from Abu Dhabi Festival, because it's a bit of a game changer. It's impacted my children quite a lot.
Hello.
So we went to see the Philharmonic Orchestra on Friday. And
someone said recently, they're like, oh, you take your children to art gallery, which is so cultured. That's like tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it really is tip of the iceberg. So my eldest, Dahlia, she loves the kind of, and I think this is a bit of a trend at the moment with young people, is the ASMR games. Mm-hmm. So you can play like a game where you have slime and it goes... Games, yeah. Oh. They play like games that make different sounds.
I had no idea that I could gamify ASMR.
You could gamify ASMR, and she does things like brush a dog, and it's like in the game. So taking her to see an orchestra in Abu Dhabi as part of this festival, her jaw hit the ground when all the instruments just did their little test.
Oh.
Because the sound bounced around the room, and my little girl's face was just delighted. I've never seen her beam the way she beamed, and it was just like the most beautiful thing. And my youngest now wants to pick up the violin, which we're quite encouraging, but it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, we have to think about the rehearsal space.
Which room or cupboard can I lock her in?
Where are you gonna rehearse? School. Music rooms, very important.
Rooms. Maybe I'll bring her here. She can just rehearse in a soundproof.
This is where you will rehearse.
Yes.
Do you play any instruments?
I was a drummer at school.
Were you?
Yes. You look so shocked.
I'm not actually shocked. Guess what I played?
Oh, you seem quite... Piano?
Yeah.
Classical lady over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a percussionist, which meant that often if it was the whole school orchestra playing, I just held the triangle.
Not a tambourine.
What fun. Anyway, should we move on to our first topic of the day?
Yes, we should. We most certainly should. So our colleague Saeed has been at the Rabat Book Fair, where he has uncovered quite the story.
Tell me.
Well, this piece has absolutely flown on the website this week, which I think it is just lovely to see how much interest there is. But he's kind of uncovered, obviously there's the very famous explorer Ibn Battuta. Massive. Would you like to give a top line on Ibn Battuta?
Well, Ibn Battuta was a 14th century Moroccan traveller who documented his travels in Arabic and became probably the first documentary of adventures.
Amazing.
And was before anybody else. And he visited all these different countries and is hugely important and significant to Arabic language speakers and much, much further afield. There's a really interesting In Our Time, which is very Radio 4 of me, about his life, which I recommend people try and dig out and listen to.
So he, the story that kind of Saeed has uncovered, thanks to Sheikha Badur Al-Qasimi, who is the chairwoman of the Sharjah Book Authority, who was in attendance at the Rabat Book Fair. She recalled centuries ago, Ibn Battuta visited our region and witnessed its rich heritage and noble Arab values. He saw firsthand the deep bonds that have always united the East and the Maghreb.
Wow.
So it's a really lovely, I guess, like for somewhere like at the Rabat Book Fair, to have this like really amazing link through someone as historic as Ibn Battuta, who this kind of like very celebrated explorer, celebrated so much so that is obviously a mall named after him here in Dubai.
There's a whole area.
I love Ibn Battuta Mall, and it is very themed. Have you ever been?
I have been. I like the Egyptian space.
Yeah, it's very themed on all the areas of his travels.
Yeah, and is that one of the first malls? Is it one of the first
No,
areas?
it's not an OG mall, but it is. It's lovely for just wandering around.
It is a nice
It's
mall.
a mall I recommend.
Yeah.
We've gone off topic. But
But that's where a lot of people might recognise his name from if you're not familiar with the 14th century Moroccan
or it will have
traveller.
been people's entryway to who he is.
Yeah.
Throughout the mall, there are like boards with his history, which is quite nice. It's a cultural and a shopping experience. But he, the story that Saeed has recounted is his arrival here in the UAE, where he visited and recounts visiting Sharjah towns like Kalba and Dibba. So yeah, it's really nice. There's part of the story that I really liked, that I think we will really resonate with, is that in his writings he describes summer in Dibba, and he says, this is obviously the English translation, but he describes nighttime where something came down from the sky like molasses. It's the humidity.
Yes. I know that feeling. As we're getting closer and closer into summer months, I'm having to weigh my hair down more and more.
How does one do that?
It's a lot of leaving.
And so, like, a big part of Ibn Battuta's writing was his poetry, right?
Yes.
And he shared a lot of his maritime knowledge and learnings through really beautiful passages in Arabic.
And so this is part of the book fair in Rabat, and we know Sharjah also has a book fair.
Oh, there's
So there's
there
lots.
So what's really a few things at the Rabat Book Fair. Sharjah was guest of honor, so that's something that I didn't really know about before. That destinations would be guest of honor at different book fairs around the world, and it kind of is just like a little bit of a cultural spotlight on certain destinations in real layman's terms. And then what coming out of the Rabat Book Fair, the Moroccan capital has been named the UNESCO World Book Capital for 2026.
Oh, nice. So that means that there'll be even more of a spotlight now on Rabat. Have you ever been to Rabat?
No.
I haven't been to... I've been to Morocco a couple of times. I've never been to Rabat.
I haven't been at all. And I was actually reading yesterday, we had another story. We're always plugging up pieces. But it was a piece on arty destinations around the world. And Marrakesh was listed. And the blue house that Yves Saint Laurent used to live in.
Have really
you been
nice.
there?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever been so captivated by a photograph of the colour blue.
Can I be honest? I think it's better in photographs. When I got there, I was like, oh, this photographs very well.
It photographs
Yeah.
insanely well.
It's so, and it's definitely fueled my love of Colbert blue.
It's the most lovely, highly
colour.
pixelated
Yeah,
Colbert.
It's beautiful.
It's incredible.
It's beautiful. I think, if you're interested, definitely go. I was going to suggest it as a very good honeymoon destination.
Really?
Yeah, that's where I went on my honeymoon.
Two of my friends who might listen to this, I don't know, but they're obsessed with going to Marrakesh. They go all the time. They stay at this hotel called the Fen, and I'll show you photos of it. It's so, it looks incredible.
Yeah, I stayed at the Hotel de Dors, which there were terrapins and peacocks walking around. It was very magical.
Blissful. Marrakesh is unexpectedly hard to get to from the UAE, though.
Well, maybe that will change now that we've seen these huge new links between the countries.
To airlines. Make it easier. Please.
So Sharjah's also got its own cultural reach as well. Like we've got the Sharjah Biennale, which is still ongoing. So if you haven't been yet, you can get there until June the 15th. And they are nurturing lots of different art and culture around. And we also have the Sharjah art fair, which will be coming up as well soon, which I'm very excited about because I've been getting info about special paintings which are going on show. I will tell you.
Oh. The thing that's really nice about the biennial is that it is not necessarily just like one day out. It's very spread out across the emirate. And so there is a lot for people to see and kind of take in kind of different stages. And it's been curated by, it's got 5 curators this year, which is interesting because I think there would be some kind of like worries with kind of cohesiveness in that vision. But it kind of all does really tie together very nicely at the Sharjah Biennial. So now I think we should talk about Coachella.
Coachella, a huge...
enormous festival.
I didn't realise how long it went on for. I didn't realise that they do it actually across like 2 weekends. I wish they did that with Glastonbury.
It is interesting. I guess it is just reflective of how absolutely enormous the US and even like California is.
Yeah.
So it takes place over 2 weekends, but it's the same lineup twice.
Tell us a bit about what it is.
It's it is kind of like American Glastonbury, I guess.
Okay.
It's a huge music culture festival that takes place in California. It's desert vibes. It's very Palm Springs, summertime.
Yeah.
California hippie.
California hippie. So we get
We're thinking a lot of crochet.
A lot of crochet, a lot of flower garlands.
Many, many flower garlands.
What I find really interesting, and I don't really follow much about American festivals because I don't really care much often. This time I do. But I like all the get ready with me. So there's such a different vibe to Coachella compared to Glastonbury. Glastonbury is like you're having to deal with terrible toilets and a lot of mud. And Coachella feels very clean.
Coachella looks quite glam. The people that we see at Coachella definitely don't look like they're camping to me. And I see quite a lot of those memes that are like that kind of compare like a British festival where it's just like mud, and then Coachella where it's like desert, beautiful.
Yeah.
The part of Coachella that we see, I mean, I've never been. My friend went to a festival at the same place that she called Old Cella, but it was like a lineup of basically like good old days bands, and like Paul McCartney was on the lineup the year she went. So it was amazing. She called it Old Cella.
Old Cella.
Her words, not mine.
So yeah, so it's lots of different bands and things. Huge
acts every single year, and a lot of like brand activations that we see. And that's kind of where it's very celeb-y. A lot of celebs go to Coachella.
You always see like those memes of like who I walked past, like, and it's like Halle Berry, I say yeah, probably, or Hailey Bieber. That's the one I mean.
Hailey Bieber will be there. It's if you're kind of like looking for like the human embodiment of a Coachella, I think you're looking at kind of Vanessa Hudgens. Yeah,
crochet.
So we are. Let's get on to the festival takes over 2 weeks, and it was happening last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
In an ideal world, we maybe would have chatted about this last week, but we were very distracted with Art Dubai. So at the festival, there was an awful lot of acts who used their time on stage to kind of talk about Palestine and really advocate for the people of Gaza and kind of talk about the fact that the war is still ongoing.
Yes, which is, I think, look, it's totally normal. All art is political.
Mm-hmm.
Music is political. Art is political. Plays are political. Everything in some way or aspect is going to be political. Fashion is political. So I think it's like, I think some people were quite shocked at this. Like, how dare they? And you saw it on like I've seen like short pieces of like, Fox News, just like, who are they? Like, why are they talking about this? And it's like, well,
yeah, I mean, it's very much like the purpose of these, art is meant to provoke, right? And
Yeah.
provoke reaction and spark debate. So there was a lot of people at the festival who were kind of talking about what's happening. In particular, I think we can talk about the Irish band Kneecap, who have been extremely present and very vocal in their support for Palestine and their pro-Palestinian messaging. And they actually criticised festival organisers for removing their pro-Palestine message from their YouTube live stream during the event's first weekend.
Wow.
And then during their second performance, they described the killing of the Palestinians in the conflict as genocide. And then the rapper Mowgli Bap, the Kneecap rapper, Mowgli Bap, wore a keffiyeh and led a Free Palestine chant.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because I think, they are so Irish, and I think there's such a link there between Ireland and Palestine, and there always has been. And I think it kind of makes sense that they would. But I was more shocked actually at, a big American bands like Green Day.
Yeah.
So even though I know Green Day have always been pro-Palestine and very political, I mean, we all remember the song, I Don't Want to Be an American Idiot. But they chose to actually change some of the lyrics in their song Jesus of Suburbia in show of support for Palestine, which is really quite moving. And the frontman Billy Joe Armstrong sang "Running Away from Pain Like the Kids of Palestine," replacing the line which was before was "Running Away from Pain When You've Been Victimized."
So I think they also did that when they were in Dubai. I didn't go to that concert, but I've read that is like they changed those same lyrics. So they're obviously kind of like really making a point of kind of using their time on stage to, and especially in like such a political song like Jesus Suburbia. And there was also the band Blonde Redhead. Are you familiar with Blonde Redhead?
No.
Neither was I.
Oh. And now you're their biggest fan.
Yeah, but they brought a Palestinian flag onto the stage during their performance, and they also played audio clips from Mahmoud Khalil's interviews and speeches. Mahmoud Khalil is the pro-Palestinian activist and Columbia University graduate student who has been detained, and he has not been released yet.
He's not been released, I know, and it really it's quite painful, the fact that his wife has given birth while he's been in detention.
Yeah.
For no crime, it seems.
Well, with no charges, and he was denied temporary release.
To witness the birth of his first child.
Yeah. A member of the band held up a poster that read "Free Them All," which featured a photo of Khalil along with others that have been held in this detention.
So, what do we think then about Coachella, like taking off things? They're in a kind of precarious position, aren't they? For like, how would you stand if you were this big music festival?
I guess it's for Coachella itself. It has to kind of, I guess, like the organisers are going to remain outwardly probably apolitical, but it is kind of all in like the booking, right? And then there's like the other person that we haven't mentioned is Bernie Sanders turned up.
What?
Yeah, US Senator Bernie Sanders made a surprise appearance to introduce a folk singer called Clairo,
yeah.
And towards, and Sanders has always been a very long-standing critic of Israeli policies towards Palestinians, and so he condemned the killing of Palestinian women and children in the conflict. So that isn't like a musical act. That's
interesting then. So I wonder if Coachella knew that he was there. They must have. I don't
think, these things aren't surprises. You don't get somebody backstage by mistake.
Yeah, especially not Bernie.
Unless it's me taking backstage.
So, moving away from, what was happening in Coachella when it comes to, I think these really political statements happening, which I don't remember in my lifetime, so many people being advocates for the Palestinian cause at an American festival. But we also have, representation from the other end, which is Mohammed Ramadan. We had the first ever Egyptian man take stage.
Is that the truth?
Yeah. First ever Egyptian take stage at Coachella. Did you see his piece?
Yes, I've watched his performance. I didn't realise he was the first Egyptian man. That's incredible.
Yeah.
He wore a pretty statement outfit.
Yes, he did. Which is kind of him, though,
I mean, I loved it, obviously.
I mean, it's so Mohammed Ramadan. Like, you can't have you know, the man is...
For the uninitiated,
Yeah, please say, because not everyone will know who Mohammed Ramadan. I've just realised that.
he's an Egyptian rapper. He is so extra. He is kind of unashamedly loud, brash.
Yeah.
There is a complete, like, everything is so OTT.
It's almost caricature.
Yeah, he's a rapper. He's an actor. He be everywhere. But he was very, very proud to be representing Egypt and performing at Coachella.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the lineup. And then, so he wore, it's been described as kind of like resembling like a belly dancing costume.
Yeah, I've heard lots of different takes on this over like what it means. Is it this? Is it that? Because it seems like almost like a chained crop top,
Yeah.
which looks similar to what a belly dancer would wear. And he wore that. And this divided the internet. I mean, I saw people putting up polls like, is this? What is this? Is it this? Is it this?
What do you think?
What do I think? I think you can wear what you want, mate.
Yeah, I think it's so Coachella.
I think it's so Coachella.
I think he would have been like the least extra person at Coachella.
I do think that
He probably found his people. He was like, whoa.
He's like, he's like, how am I going to stand out amongst all of this?
I'm a wallflower.
But I'm gonna stand out by wearing a chained crop top. And he probably didn't even stand out that much. But what he did do is, I think that it is still quite shocking because it resembles the belly dancer outfit, and he is an Egyptian man, and he's the first Egyptian man. So it definitely divided people on like what they felt as like was quote unquote, and it's so not something I would say, but like unmanly, unmasculine of him. I mean, I think knowing Mohammed Ramadan and like his career, he's always trying to provoke people.
And also like we kind of like think about the space that he's in, and yeah, like I think that's not a thing. Yeah. He was criticised for something else though. He, as far as I have seen, has not used his platform at Coachella to say anything about Palestine.
Palestine, yeah.
He was definitely one of the most famous Arab artists at the festival this year. Not in history, but this year. And so people have kind of said, and then we've had this conversation so many times, like, is there an onus? Is there a responsibility? Is there a...
Well, this is it. Like, I think I understand that everyone's like, this is a hot topic in the Middle East. Everyone's talking about it all the time, to the point where, you know, people are unsure on how to conduct themselves, knowing that something like this, a war like this is going on. However, do we have to, every single time, do we hold everybody to this standard that is like, oh yeah, you're of this race or you're of this culture, so therefore you always have to be speaking about something? I
mean, like, is the fear then for somebody like Mohammed Ramadan that they use their platform for a political purpose, then it's kind of like they don't get invited back, and it's like, okay, so then that's been and gone. But then for a very established act like on the American scene, like Green Day, they probably are going to get invited back, or if they aren't invited back to Coachella, then they are going to get invited to another festival. So I guess maybe it is unfair to kind of hold them up to that same standard. But
there is a privilege that comes from being as well like somebody who's white advocating for 100%. Something, right? And there is a privilege that comes with that Mohammed Ramadan doesn't have, even though he's a huge superstar in Egypt. He's not a global superstar. So I think we have to, I don't know, I just
bear that in mind.
Be a bit kinder to people on how they perhaps like, you know, go into a new space and how, and like, you know, he is pushing his own boundary with his outfit. So it's not like he's gone in there and tried to not push a boundary.
Yeah, he's not just gone up on stage wearing a jeans and a t-shirt and sung a couple of ballads.
And he's pushing the boundary as an Arab man. Like, isn't that also like something that's
a space
that is like, you know, we should be hailing him as a hero for. So
100%.
You know, well done him.
Give me a recommendation, please.
My recommendation, I mean, you probably would have guessed this. It's going to be Abu Dhabi Festival. So if you didn't go this, I think there's a few days left now. It's an arts and culture festival, which is in Abu Dhabi, but it is orchestra, beautiful classical music, classical dance. Actually, yesterday in the ballet, they did do a dance to Lady Gaga with Bad Romance, which was actually brilliant. Like,
how
modern.
Bridgerton.
It was very modern. But it's a celebration of lots of different types of quite classical arts. This year, Japan was celebrated as the country of honor. If you can get a ticket, because I know a lot of the ballet last night was definitely sold out, but like if you can get a ticket, try and go. And because it is going on until the 29th.
Yes,
of
there's a
this
few
month.
days.
So there's a few days left. If you don't manage it this year, go next year and just put it in your calendar as something to go to, because honestly, like my family have just been blown away by what they've seen. And so they really are handpicking incredible acts that come to this country. And it's just an experience within itself, just being in those kind of spaces.
Amazing.
And what's your recommendation?
Mine is Team Lab.
Yes!
So it's a very exciting new museum that has opened on Sadia Island, opened last week, brand new. I think it really is a space that is fun for the whole family, very immersive, it really does, it's hard to describe. It's every sense is engaged within this art space. It's a Japanese concept, very timely with the Abu Dhabi Festival, guest of honor. And so it's they're very immersive rooms. There's a lot of playing with light, shadow, sight, sound, even taste in some rooms. There's a water space.
I can't wait.
So I think it is something that, as a appreciator of kind of like experiential art and digital art, you'll enjoy, but I think it's also something that children are going to be obsessed with. It's a very interesting art
I
space
can't
for
wait.
children.
I'm waiting till the summer months to go.
Yeah, I think
because I think it's going to be like an indoor activity for kids.
very much so.
I also want to thank you for a recommendation that you made a few
which
weeks
one?
ago, Callous People. I am loving that book. Thank you so much for recommending it. See, guys, listen to us. We speak truth.
Has it broken your relationship with social media? Because it has broken mine.
Yes. We'll get into that another day. But please do follow us and like on social media.
That's what I was going to say. What I'm about to say next.
No, thank you so much for being part of our show and listening. If you have liked this episode, please do go onto your favourite podcasting app or on our YouTube channel, The National News, and follow, like, subscribe.
And also, please be sure to follow the National Arts on Instagram and catch new episodes of Culture Bites every Thursday.
Bye.